Hello everybody, I'm Joe and this is the GM Toolbox, your go-to place to get all the tools you need to enhance your TTRPG games. Now last week, it was my first week back doing a video in quite some time. We did a live stream and I got to just touch base with everybody, say hi, let you know what's been going on and what the plans are for the future of the stream. Today, I'm back doing a video for you all with a preview of a box set for AAW Games' newest release, Rultmoork. Now, this is their big box set. This is a really cool campaign with lots of cool stuff in it. So I'm going to give you guys a preview of what to expect if you purchase this. I have a sealed copy here, so we're going to unbox it together and see what's inside. So let's get into it. Hey everybody, once again, welcome back. Sorry it's been so long since we've been doing videos, but last week was a lot of fun doing the live stream and I plan to do a lot more of those live streams. But today I figured we'd do just a little video here. AAW Games sent me a box set of their Rultmoork campaign. This is a really cool mid-level tier 2 adventure. Kind of brings you a little into tier 3. But they did a box set, which is something that I haven't seen very much since 5th edition. There's very few box sets out there. So to kind of come back to those old days of really cool box sets back in like 2nd edition, I thought would be really cool. And they really give you everything you need in this box set to run the game. For those of you who don't know, Rultmoork is a tier 2 adventure. It starts around like level 7 or 8, but it is a very, very difficult adventure. The basic premise of this adventure is that there is this ancient temple to a water god that has been corrupted and the water has gone stagnant. You make your way inside and solve a series of puzzles and fight some monsters and things like that. And you're basically trying to restore flow to this water temple. It is not a campaign for the faint of heart. I describe this as taking something like Tome of Annihilation, their meat grinder mode, and that's the baseline, and then it gets harder from there. So in this box set, which I have right here, we have got not only the book, but there's going to be handouts. There's going to be minis or pawns, not actual like 3D printed minis, but pawns, dice, all sorts of cool stuff to help you with this adventure. And it is a lot of fun. It is really cool. I worked on the Foundry VTT version of this, so I'm very familiar with this adventure, and I can speak for it from a perspective of somebody who's read through it and even played a bit of it. And I love this thing a lot. But like I said, not for the faint of heart. So why don't we jump in and let's open this thing up and see what's inside. So what do we got here? So we got Rultmoork. So very cool cover art. Now there is, if you're interested, you can buy, inside of the box set, they do sell just the book. There are also some limited edition covers. I don't know if they still have any or not, but they did have a few when we were at Gen Con. So it is a cool book. So what we're seeing here is the standard edition. I still have to actually get my limited edition cover. I don't think I've got one yet. So I'll have to get one of those, hopefully, if they still have any. So let's crack into this guy. Oh, I'm gonna need a tool to do this, I think. I'll grab my X-Acto knife here. There we go. All right, so I have opened these before when I was at Gen Con because I helped out at the AAW Games booth. So I did get to play with these and open them and see what's in here. But I've been holding on to my copy for a while to show you guys. So let's throw that out and let's crack her open. So there's a lot to like about this. Now, first off, right here on the inside cover, we see this cool art here. So this is the spire that is Rultmoork. So Rultmoork, there's the ruins of like a town or a settlement on top of this spire. And then the actual, we are going to have some spoilers here. So if you're a player and you don't want to know, stop watching. But for you GMs who are purchasing, inside is where the temple is. Now you see this path going across. You can actually come from another mountain and cross over onto here, or you can approach from the ground and make your way up to another spot, on the side of here. That can be a possible entrance. So there's a couple ways to get in. So this dial, we'll see more of this later, but one of the cool things that I really really like about this adventure is that there's this ancient language called Grecian, and you have to decipher it. You cannot use detect magic to read or write in it because the gods have actually basically banned this language. So there's no chance of ever reading it magically. You have to have this special magical item in order to read it, or there's a few other ways. You might find some scraps of paper that have some translations on it that you can then use to start digging in. But I find it to be a cool aspect of this adventure to actually have to decipher and do a little archaeology. I thought that was really cool. Now, this game is about balance. It's about the yin yang, the flow and stagnation. Flow and stagnation in here are represented in blue and green. So they've included some blue dice and some green dice, and you'll even see some of these little blue and green stones, which we'll get into what these are for. But we do get 2 sets of dice, full sets of dice, by the way. So we are talking 4d6, 2d20, and then the rest of your standard dice. So nice little setup there. Next up, we have a stack of handouts. So we have our magic items here. And then we also have images. So all of the art in the book is meant to actually be an actual representation of what you would see. So rather than just some kind of artist interpretation, you can actually say, as you walk into this room, here's what you see, and show this to your players and actually let them see it. When you cross the spire, here's what the runes look like. So that's kind of a nice little touch. But you can see here, this is that magic item. It's the Lexium amulet, and it's basically 2 dials, and it's got common and it's got Grecian on it, and you can actually match it up. Here we go. This is the actual handout you give to your players, and they can match it up so that they can translate it. So that is very, very cool. Now, we also got, here's a puzzle they might have to solve, and they can use that amulet to solve the puzzle. The amulet does allow them to attune to it, in which case they can magically read in Grecian. So if they don't want to attune to it, though, they can use it as a kind of decoder ring sort of thing. We also have these tokens, token of Asai blue, and there's also the green. That's what those stones are for in the dice. And we're going to kind of talk about what those do, but they can essentially be used to manipulate the environment around you. There's going to be creatures that they can be used on to change the creatures themselves. Since everything in here is based around this flow and stagnation, there's going to be creatures that can be in a flow mode or a stagnation mode. And you can actually use those tokens to change them from one mode to another. That will change their abilities, might change their type, all sorts of stuff. We see some character sheets in here. Now, if you take a good look at these character sheets, you'll notice that they are not a full character sheet. They're not quite an NPC sheet. They're not quite a PC sheet. They're this hybrid somewhere in between. And that's because these are actually priests of Vasai, which is the water goddess, that lived here many, many, many years ago. And you'll actually get this chance where your players will flash back into the past, and you'll hand them one of these sheets, and they'll take control of one of the priests and kind of play through in this theater of the mind type of setup and see what happened. They'll actually see the fall of Rultmoork, and they might be able to solve some of the mysteries, which will then allow them some advantages in the big fights to come. Next up, we do have lots and lots of creature pawns that we can punch out. Now, generally whenever you buy creature pawns, they don't include the stands. You can buy stands on Amazon. If you have a 3D printer like I do, I 3D printed my stands. So easy enough to do. But you'll see here, here's this flow weaver, and you'll see a blue version and a green version. This is what I mean about the flow mode and the stagnation mode. So if you counter one in stagnation, you can hit it with a blue token and turn it into flow, or vice versa. Generally, you might think, flow is the better route to take, but it might not be based on your abilities, your party setup, the room. Sometimes you might be better off fighting it in stagnation mode. So it'll change things like their resistances and their immunities and stuff like that. So based on your group and your abilities, one might work better than the other. Look at this. I do have the limited edition cover. This is the limited edition cover. So he sent me a limited edition box set. So here we are with the limited edition cover of Rultmoork. Very, very cool. So the standard cover is a little different than this. And I'll see if I can maybe throw an image of that up. So here's the book itself. And here we go, just to show you. Well, here's a good example. So these Swarm of Vasai drops, you'll see here their abilities, but you'll notice things like, if you can see here, the speed is in green here. So when they are in the stagnation mode, that's their abilities. When they're in flow, they might have this ability instead of this ability. So here you got some abilities that are only in flow mode, some that are only in stagnation mode. So it changes based on the creature. Here's another example here. So you can see 20 feet in stagnation, 30 feet in flow. They are vulnerable to necrotic in flow and vulnerable to radiant in stagnation. So kind of neat how they've done this, and even given you different pawns to represent these different modes. I like that a lot. You'll see all the art in the book is the same art. All these images here are in those stacks of handouts. Here's that Flow Weaver, another example of a flow and stagnation type creature. Sorry if there's a bit of glare. One thing you'll also see a lot is these hard modes, not only on a creature, but in encounters, you'll see these hard modes. So if you want to add a little bit more difficulty to your encounter, you can use the hard modes to amp it up a bit, make it even harder than it already is. And believe me, it's hard. So besides that, let's see here. So yeah, you can see here a few other things. You can see the puzzles in here. See all sorts of cool stuff. Here are some like kind of stained glass or murals that they'll find that kind of tell the story of what's going on. These are the same handouts here in the back. So this whole section is all the handouts, which you have in that stack of papers I showed you earlier. Really, really cool. Another thing that I really like about this book, one of my favorite things, I feel like this should be a standard thing that everybody does. Like every publisher should do this, is you get this area, right? So here's area 1-4. So we get our overview, we read all about it, all this stuff, but then we have this at a glance section. This is really nice because what this does for us is gives us, as the DM, a quick overview. You know, what's the trap? Here's a trap, that's the trigger, all the information on the trap right there. What's the answer to the riddle? Here's this water barrier information, here's the hard mode. So every section has this at a glance that summarizes everything for that area. Just real quick for you, so you can just, now area 2-2 is huge, right? This area is a very big area, lots of stuff, but still broken down into this at a glance section to make it very easy for you to kind of look at, see, and understand, and run at the table. So that's one of my favorite features of Rultmoork. So this is their box set. This is pretty darn cool, guys. The other thing too that they did with this is they worked with I'm drawing a blank. I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the notes for you, but they have fully animated maps. So they worked with one of the Patreons that does animated maps, and they have every map in here. There's an animated version. So if you use a TV at your table, if you use a TV at your table, you can actually have the animated maps at your table. Just hook up, put them on a little USB drive, plug it into the back of your TV, and have that. Obviously, if you buy a virtual tabletop version like on Foundry, those animated maps are built in as well. At least in the Foundry version that I created, I also built in the static maps, just in case your players maybe don't have the computing power for animated maps, or you're having issues with them. Static maps are included as well. So really, it is a very complete setup. Now, at Gen Con, I know they were including the animated maps for the purchase of the box set. I'm not sure if that's still part of the deal or not, but you can always contact AAW Games. If you go to their site, click Contact Us, and send them a message that actually goes straight to Jonathan Nelson, the owner of AAW Games, where he will happily respond and let you know. They also have a great Discord channel, which I'm a part of, and I'm pretty active there. So the Discord link is also on their site, and if I remember, I'll put it in the show notes as well. So definitely worth checking out. So that is the Rultmoork box set. It's one of the first box sets I have really seen a publisher come out with for 5th edition. I just love it. The dice, the handouts. I mean, I've seen other Kickstarters that have kind of included all this stuff, but just doing it as a box set, I thought was really, really cool. But again, if the box set's not something you want, you can always just buy the book. You can buy the virtual tabletop. I think maybe you can even buy just the handouts and pawns separate if you don't want the dice and the whole box set. But there's a lot in there. So very, very good value for your money in here. So That is Rultmoork, guys. I really like this product a lot. Like I said, I've done the Foundry VTT version. I believe they are, if it's not already out, I think they're working on a Roll20 version for it. Maybe a few other virtual tabletops. I don't remember all of them off my top of my head, but definitely worth checking out. So head over to aawgames.com, go over to the Rultmoork section, see what they got there. Very, very cool. If you're not into the whole box set, you can purchase the books separately. I believe you might even be able to purchase just the handouts as well, like the book and then the handouts separately, possibly. I don't know. That was something they had at Gen Con, but Gen Con's a different beast. So let me know what you guys think of Rultmoork, though. I also plan to keep on doing lives. So my next live stream, please join me. And if you have questions on Rultmoork or any of the other products that I covered, just ask. And I'm happy to pull them out, show you guys, answer any questions, and do the best I can for you. So that's it for today. And until next time, roll those dice.